The Browns, some news. Joe Flacco's the starter. Denzel Ward. There's an injury. We're not sure where we go with that. To talk all things Browns, maybe a little bit of Gardos ahead of the regular season opener for the Browns in less than 1 month's time. We're talking multiple weeks away. We're going to bring on one of Cleveland's finest, John Fanta, college basketball on Fox, 75 other jobs on the Fan Hotline. He joins us every Tuesday here at 4 p.m. What's up, Johnny?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Last time that we all talked, Peterlin and I were going all the way until midnight with an argument.
Yeah, and then I've been party to your football discussions and your baseball discussions, and I just sit back and just enjoy them.
Having a lot of fun here, John.
You do. You do crack open a cold one, and you were a real bystander on Saturday afternoon. This came fresh off of Carlos Hernandez pitching Friday night in the ninth inning, but that's a deep cut on our coaching debate last week. But good to be with you guys. A lot happening here. It's hard to believe, but now I think, doesn't it feel like the summer can fly, and then we get to this point where football is just about to be here, and now it feels like the days get a little bit slower because we want it so bad.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Once we get to the 2 weeks in between the end of the preseason, the beginning of the regular season, I always wonder, why can't we just make this a 1 week ordeal?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I can think of growing up and you get to the fourth preseason game and you're just like, this is overkill. So I'm glad that there's no longer a fourth preseason game, and I'm glad that the joint practices show us something. I wish that we got to watch the joint practices live a little more. I feel like but I know coaches wouldn't want that because there's some deeper scheme stuff and probably some things in there that they don't want aired to everybody. But, yeah, I mean, you're right. Once we get through this weekend, then you're kind of sitting around. You're glad to have some college football in your life. And, of course, college football week one. Remember when college football week one was kind of like, yeah, there's two good games. No longer can you say that. I mean, that's one thing that's quite refreshing. Mm-hmm. And obviously in the Northeast Ohio area, one of the things I miss now being out in New Jersey is I love the high school football scene. But you do get through this weekend, then it's like, you're waiting. We now know, we knew a while ago, but it's now official who's going to start this week one game. And, it's if we're waiting and you twiddling our thumbs, you got to think what's Stefanski and company doing, because you want to start. You want to get off the ground.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the quarterback decision being settled, and so I'll ask you this. With Joe Flacco, how many games do you feel like Joe Flacco will get to start?
Well, I think that he'll get to start at least 4 games, and I'm not a subscriber to this idea that he's going to start week one and then the Browns are going to reevaluate things the day after that and could make a change. That, to me, is ridiculous. The moment that Joe Flacco and the Browns agreed on him coming back to Cleveland, I believe there was a private handshake of some sort or agreement in place that, hey, Joe, there's a strong opportunity here for you to be the starting quarterback for this team. To me, this really wasn't much of a competition. I don't think that the thought never occurred to me that there was going to be anybody else but Joe Flacco starting week one. The reason why I say at least 4 games is because, to me, if you start him week one, and let's just say then you go with him week 2, I would not have any rookie debut in Baltimore week 2, especially if things don't go well week 1, because if a rookie's debuting week 2, it means things went miserably week 1, and those problems may be beyond the quarterback. And that trip to Baltimore, I mean, that's a death knell. And it's why week 1 for me is a must-win for the Browns. And it's a must-win for Kevin Stefanski. But I think if you change things up that quickly, it just sends a whole unsettling vibe across your locker room. I think I'm a little bit confused by the discourse around this move, because I know what people want. They want to find out if one of the rookies has it and could be the franchise quarterback. But the problem is the big picture for the Browns with their draft situation next spring and all of that. The big picture doesn't match where the people that are in the offices are right now. And where those people are right now, whether the owner comes out and says it or doesn't, because now to me, there's already people who believe that some of these people have overstayed their welcome. I believe that with the general manager. This team has to win some games early on. They have to. If they're 1-6, the writing very much is on the wall. But again, this goes back to my original point of what you think of this season, what we think of this season, what I think you, Nick, and Jonathan think of this season is you want to find out if you've got a quarterback for your future. But I think that's very different from what the head coach is going into this season thinking, because he's thinking, how am I going to justify my status for 2026 and beyond?
John, what's the ceiling with this offense with Joe Flacco specifically?
I think it can be a good offense because of the way that Stefanski schemes. And this is going to test the debate that I had with Peterlin last week. And for those who don't remember, we debated about who the best coach of the three major teams is in town. And I still voted Kevin Stefanski, and I respect Jonathan for voting Stephen Bowen. We're not going to go down that road. But it's dependent on – this is a true test of Stefanski taking back his offense, taking back his playbook. And the Browns still have some weapons. And Joe Flacco is designed to play pitch and catch like he did 2 short years ago. Now, the receiving core doesn't look the same, and Flacco and Amari Cooper had a bond, had this connection like we haven't really seen with the Browns. But to me, you still have Jerry Jeudy. You have a guy who I think got comfortable with Joe and can get comfortable in this offense in Cedric Tillman and really find his role and find his groove. I think Jamari Thrash showed me some very good things over the weekend. Like I liked the way Jamari Thrash played on Saturday. I thought that was a bright spot. I loved what he did. And if there's anything that we learned about Flacco and about the Browns when things were clicking, it was that he, made some receivers better by doing the right things because that arm strength has not wavered. That arm, he still has the arm. He's going to make some mistakes, but he still has that arm strength. He still has that ability, guys. And he was matched up with David Njoku. You know, that Jaguars game comes to mind a couple years back when Njoku just had a huge day. And I think Harold Fannin could end up being a real X factor to this team and a pleasant surprise of this rookie class. So for me, you know, what I'm more curious about is the running game, because I think they're going to have to a theme to what they've done when they've had their most successes to be able to run the football. But it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to do that consistently. So your offense looks different when you can't have the play-action threat like you had with a Nick Chubb in the backfield when he was at his absolute best. But to me, I don't think that this offense is a bottom 5 offense in the league. I don't think it's a bottom 10 offense in the league. I think that the Browns are good enough to, with Joe Flacco, if things, you ask what their ceiling is. To me, the ceiling is this can be an offense that finishes between 13 and 16 or 17 in the league. I know people want top 10. That's not realistic. But I think we're in a world where if you're not top 10, everybody then just assumes that you're bad. I think it's a solid offense. And that makes me wonder if that defense, provided they stay healthy, if that defense has an average offense in the league, how many games are the Browns going to be in? I do think there's a world where we have sold things, not you guys necessarily, but some people have sold things so much with this team and have basically said this team's going to have a brutal season. And
that actually might be me, John.
I disagree with that, Nick, and I don't think that I don't think that, to me, there's too much other talent on this roster for them to be a 3-win football team. That's what I believe.
So real quick with that, what's the ceiling of the wins they get?
Well, I think they're going to win week 1. The Bengals have been a horrible first. The Bengals have been a horrible first 2 weeks of the season team over the last 5 years. Now, that's not to say that the Browns have been, something to write home about, but I would say this. Kevin Stefanski has had his team pretty ready to go, and he's broken a couple of week one, home opener curses. Like he has been part of that. You cannot deny that his teams have come ready for the season and he's been thinking about that opening drive for 6 months. And I think that the Browns are going to come ready. And I just think Zach Taylor and the Bengals, did you watch the Bengals last night? That defense did not look good. They look out of sorts organizationally. Their culture feels bad. I'm not saying the Browns feels great, but I know the Browns have an adult in the room at quarterback. And I also think it's interesting. It's like people I know the roster's less talented, but the Browns are doing this partially because an organization that's been sick and ill with really bad quarterback play, this guy did take them when everybody said their season was over 2 years ago and took them to the playoffs. And I'm not
John,
saying
I'm not hearing a win total
yeah, John,
here, buddy.
he just wants a win total.
Yeah, no, because we're going to put something on this here. Because I'm willing to bet that they're a 3 to 5 win team. Where's your ceiling with this?
Don't go too high now, because if you go high,
don't coach the witness.
I'm just trying to set you up for success here, John.
No, I think that they're going to win six games. 6 or 7 games.
Is that me? Is that my bad?
Yeah, you killed the bitch.
Is that my bad?
Dead on the floor there. He wanted to say 9 wins. At the start of that, you wanted to say 9 wins. Just a minute, John.
That's my bad.
Well, okay. I've got the Bengals as a win.
Yeah.
Right?
No, this is hard. When you go through the schedule game, it's really hard to find wins.
Stop, Coach. I'm trying to lock him in here.
It's not going to happen.
I've got the Bengals as a win.
Okay.
I'll take the Dolphins as a win.
Okay.
I'll take the Patriots, the Jets.
Okay.
I will take the Titans at home, and I'll take the Steelers at home.
You got to 6.
Yeah, I don't. But here's the thing: you're saying I don't think they're going to be that bad, and then you said they're going to be a 6-win team.
Well, there's a difference between 3 and 6. It's a difference of 3.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see your math is just irrefutable.
You don't need Sesame Street. We got John Fanta.
Hey, you guys are special. The fact is, but here's the thing. Can I ask this question to you guys?
You may.
It's a lot. What is the metric? What is the measuring stick for this coach to keep his job?
Probably 6 wins, 7 wins.
Yeah, it's not terribly high.
So there you go. So that's what I'm saying. So my argument is this on today's edition of the crazy 4:00 segment on Tuesday. My argument is the head coach. This is hard. He's in a different fight than the front office is, and we are in. I think the majority of, I think a lot of Browns fans, I mean, everybody wants to go to the playoffs, but that's not going to happen. But I think a lot of people are thinking, oh my gosh, 2 top 10 picks. Oh my gosh, we could be the story of the draft. It could happen. Where if you get 6 or 7 wins, you're in a state of purgatory, and you better be hoping that the Jacksonville Jaguars are losing games. But this head coach has to prove himself and try to keep his employment. And so he's going to be trying to ride out the string, I think. I think that that's the most fascinating part of this Browns season is what we want, which is to find out an answer of who the quarterback is honestly not the head coach. The head coach's thought process is, I got to survive. I got to find a way to win as many football games as possible. And at the end of the day, guys, that's why Joe Flacco is starting week 1.
We can still get to whatever bet you guys want to have because John says 6, so he gets 6 and higher.
Just over,
and you get 5 and below.
Yeah, no, I don't. He's got no skin in the game here. He's really put you're just over the
John,
5.5 wins.
Would you take 6 or higher, and then Nick gets 5 and below?
Now, if he wants to take 8 wins or higher, then we have a conversation.
Well, that's just not fair. Vegas's line is 5.5. Why would John sign up for that?
Because he acted like saying 3 wins as this huge far-fetched thing, and then he said 6 wins.
You only want to take the bet if you have some sort of... Yeah, come on, put him on the table.
No, you're the one that put him on the table. You put him on the table.
Tell him, John. Put him on the table, Nick.
I'm putting him on the table.
You put nothing on the table.
You don't have a difference of 1.
By the way, 6 wins is the most popular answer in Cleveland. That is antithetical to putting him on the table. That's saying you're going to put him on the table. That's acting like you're pantomiming putting him on the table. I see nothing on the table, John.
Okay, is this the Ken Carman show in the morning? Because now we're yelling. Here's the deal. There's a difference. There's a difference. In Las Vegas, when you go place a bet, they don't ask you how many over you've got or how many under you've got. It's an over-under. I'm taking the over. You're taking the under. Loser buys a steak.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Oof. Thank you for your sacrifice, John. Thank you for really going out on a limb there with 6 wins.
You wanted more rich of a bet than a steak dinner?
Yes, he acted like 3 wins.
I mean, John does have like 37 jobs. I know you can put a good amount of money on it.
Fox money, you know.
I just didn't know. Nick, I didn't know you wanted to go that high with it. Hello, sports fan.
He's just tough talking fan.
Hello, sports fan.
And then he was like 6 wins. Where's the?
No. I just think that, okay, but if you, there's a difference between starting the season 1-5, 1-6, and perhaps starting the season 2-2, or 3-3 or 4-4.
We're back to Sesame Street now.
That's gonna.
It's Steiner back.
But what I'm saying is, then what's the dichotomy of the season? Like, I just think it's dumb. To me, it's dumb when people are like, "Well, they didn't say beyond week 1." Okay, to me, I'm gonna say what it is right now. If the Cleveland Browns, unless he is as bad as we've ever seen, like Charlie Fry level of bad, right? Unless he's that awful in week 1, you cannot be changing quarterbacks after 1 game. Like, folks, get it in your heads right now, and I'll eat my words on this show if I'm wrong.
And when they go 6 wins,
he's not gonna stop starting week 1. Yeah, I'll eat my words then too. He's not gonna stop week 2, and he ain't stopping week 3. He's gonna be your starter for at least 4 weeks. At least.
John, we got a boogie buddy. I've had fun yelling with you, around you, near you, and you're not putting him on the table. That's okay. We'll put him on the table next week.
Oh, my gosh. We got time
John,
to do it. By the way,
we'll let the record show you were willing to put him on the table.
Nick, 6 wins is not putting him on the table.
You just wanted to fleece him with a bet, though. You wanted to get the upper edge
I
of
wanted
a
to put
bet
him on the
here.
table. I wanted him to put his money where his mouth was.
You're not an idiot. That's the difference here. John,
There's a difference between being god-awful and just not good.
6 wins, still a top 10
Guardians
pick.
thing.
All right, buddy, we really got a boogie. I'm so
thank
sorry.
you, John.
John, we appreciate you. John Fanta on the Fan Hotline.